investment was frozen, that exports came to a standstill because they were buying from China. What did that leave? It just left private consumption, the first item in my agenda. But people were becoming unemployed. So at the bottom, there's a link, direct link between employment and output. So that's the standard Keynesian equation. It helps you very easily to understand economies. And they're very simple. I know they're much more complicated issues at bay. But that basic equation should be in the head of every politician in the world, so they understand these simple facts. Say it in different ways, that growth is a function of private and public consumption, private and public investment, plus exports minus imports. Happily, each of these can lead to new corporate social responsibility areas. Sustainable consumption, sustainable investment, responsible exports, responsible imports, all lead to new product, but don't let me go into that in great detail. I have in my list of slides a methodology for CSR projects and whether the project is sustainable or not. I'm not going to go into that in any great detail, except I'm going to pick on 2 points from my list here, and I've applied this to hundreds of projects around the world. Number 5, does the project create capacity at macro, meso, and or micro levels? Just grab a bit of water if I may. I'm nearly 5 minutes from the end. So. I've often seen NGOs, micro products around the world, doing great things. I'm certainly not against them. But I always wonder when I see them whether they're linking into government policy in any way. I've seen Angelina Jolie walking in slums in South Africa, talking about education. It's wonderful. But did she talk to the Ministry of Education? Did she look at what was going on already in that country? Did she look at the institutions? So did she look at the macro policy issues? And did she look at the meso issues, which is the institutional strengthening, the institutions that can take the policy to the grassroots and back, as well as the micro level, which quite often I call the CNN level, because projects need pictures. So I'm very keen that all projects should have these 3 components. And then the last one I mentioned here, not last but not least, so last but one, is the whole question, and we use the euphemism transparency for corruption. I have seen how corruption can destroy a company. I happen, as I'm working in Africa, to be working in Somalia, where my sister-in-law was, until about a week ago, Deputy Prime Minister. Because she's not corrupt, they didn't like that. They couldn't bend her to their will. Let's see how that country moves forward. But I've been quite distressed at the level of corruption in that country and how it basically is destroying a country and leading to terrorism, underdevelopment, poverty and famine. And totally unnecessary in my opinion. So corruption is absolutely, and anti-corruption is absolutely key. This is a little project, let me just explain it before I go, which is called MISA, the Matari Youth and Sports Association. So I've come from great macro right down to a specific project which is very close to my heart. It's to do with football, not cricket, I'm so sorry, but I'm happy you've got Kevin Peterson for the next couple of months to know about that story. I'm a very keen football player, but I'm also advisor to FIFA and UEFA on corporate social responsibility. And this project works in a slum, one of the biggest in Africa, 1 million people. And through football, they've been taking people into development. They've been building libraries using FIFA money and educating students. What happened is, up to date, yes, we'll do. 2 minutes. Up to date, what has happened is that the leading football club has come from the slum. Half the people in the national team have come from the slum. So this is a very great example of sport and development. and one of my heroes, Sir Bobby Charlton, inaugurated some of their facilities there. Last word on India, and the main issue today is 2% or 3% of pre-tax profits to CSR activities in India. It's kind of highly unusual, and I've been thinking a lot about it the last couple of days. When Mauritius passed a similar law, CSR companies wouldn't talk to us about CSR because they were worried about further taxation. So this has to be handled very, very, very carefully. On balance, I think it's quite interesting because it's really promoting the idea of CSR. But let's promote the issue of multi-stakeholder CSR. I won't say more than that because I'll get into some hot water here, I know. Does CSR lead to funding for development NGOs? Well, we've seen with this initiative that it will. And UEFA's social programs, which is one I'm very keen on, is taking part in that. Some of these issues are written in this book, which I published a few years ago, CSR and International Development, and I'm working on a new one right now. These books get out of date very, very quickly as time goes on. These are just some of the activities that my company is involved in. We're running meetups right across the world. Just started one in Athens. It'd be very nice to start one in India. This is where the social media rubber meets the road. And on the left-hand side is, so on the right-hand side to you, is my CSR Financial Institute, which is a global institute trying to promote some of these ideas. Last slide and last message. When I meet you in the street, if you remember anything from today and my remarks, please remember this: that CSR is treating stakeholders of a corporate body or institution ethically and responsibly. CSR is treating stakeholders responsibly. Now, if I meet you in the street, as I will, I'm going to ask you. I know you remember. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I will now invite Professor B.P. Singh, former Head and Dean, Commerce Department and Delhi School of Economics, for the keynote address.
Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Before I formally start my keynote address, since we are meeting today in the shadow of a tragedy which took place, one of our resource persons, Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee, was supposed to be here. He lost his wife, and that's why he is not here. So let's observe 2 minutes silence in the memory of the departed soul, so that it may rest in peace. Thank you. Much of the segment that we are concerned with in India, they don't fulfill even this. You understand? If we are good enough as corporate employers, as a corporate producers, as corporate supplier receivers, then we should try to take care of their interests. गन्ना गिरा दिए, चीनी मिल ने गन्ने को जो है कन्वर्ट कर दिया शुगर में, और उनका 1 साल तक पेमेंट ही नहीं होता। IAS ऑफिसर बीबी maid to marquee. What is this? You have kept a maid, not fed her properly, kept in a lock and key. What kind of social responsibility were discharged? So the first thing is this, first thing is this, that each individual, because the corporate consists of us individuals, if they realize, madam, you also represent a corporate, your publishing company. If each one of us realize this fact, that look, whatever we are doing, we stand the scrutiny of being human. That's the first thing. And if we stand there, that scrutiny, then comes corporate social responsibility, what it is to my understanding. Well, this is the brief agenda that I have before you. Corporate versus corporates as viewed in the past, in India I'm talking. Conceptualizing the three terms, corporate, social and responsibility. The Indian scenario of CSR. Companies Act 2013, Section 135, dealing with CSR. Issues within that. CSR India Index 2012. Top 10 private sector companies. Voluntary or mandatory? It's a debate. I hope in 2 days of your deliberations you will take care of this. Should it remain voluntary as it is, or should it be made mandatory? India Incorporated said to get concessions on CSR norms. Whatever norms have been prescribed in the Companies Act, the pressure is there from corporates to ease them. Corporate as viewed in the past. The role of corporates by and large has been understood in terms of commercial business paradigm that focuses largely on economic parameters of success. What are these economic parameters? As corporates have been regarded as institutions that cater to the market demand by providing products and services and have the onus for creating wealth and jobs. This is important. Onus for creating wealth and jobs. Their market position has traditionally been a function of financial performance and profitability. This has been the conception of a corporate. However, over the past few years, as a consequence of spreading, it is not spending, spreading globalization and pressing ecological issues, the perception of the role of corporates in the broader social context within which it operates has undergone change. Stakeholders, that is employees, customers, suppliers, shareholders and community, today are redefining the role of corporates, taking into account the corporate's broader responsibility towards society and environment beyond economic performance, and are evaluating whether they are conducting their role in an ethical and socially responsible manner. Ethical and socially responsible manner. A body has been created by the central government where they are going to monitor that whatever ads come by so-called celebrities, Adit is a man of marketing, he knows what is celebrity. Like your Sachin Tendulkar is a celebrity because yesterday he was not in Rajya Sabha, he was in this Auto Expo. And in 2 years of his membership, he has attended only 2 sessions of Rajya Sabha. Ours, I don't know, but 2. It's not ethical. शर्मा जी, अगर तो कोई क्लास में ले टीचर तो क्या ethical है भाई? As a head, what can you do? आप फाइल मूव कर देंगे, इस वाइस चांसलर के एलजी में तो शायद कोई एक्शन भी हो जाए, नहीं पहले तो कोई एक्शन होता नहीं था दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी. This is highly unethical, I'm telling you. Getting 1 lakh plus and not meeting 2 or 3 classes in a week.
It's a crime.
Crime. Criminal.
Academic criminal. Academic corruption.
ये भी एक corruption का भाग. You are right. This is also a form of corruption. So we have to see that.
I'll be mainly speaking on ethical conduct.
Very good, very good, very good. As a result of this shift from purely economic to economic with an added social dimension, many forums, institutions and corporates are endorsing the term corporate social responsibility. Conceptualizing the 3 words corporate, social and responsibility. Corporate, it is a legal entity, as we all know, created through law. Sharma ji iske expert hai yahan pe, corporate governance ke, of the land, and through incorporation. Treating a corporation as a legal person that enjoys separate and independent entity from that of promoters and owners. Social, this is important, social. It always refers to the interaction of organisms with other organisms. This is important, Dr. Hopkins also drew our attention. And to their collective coexistence, irrespective of whether they are aware of it or not, and irrespective of whether the interaction is voluntary or involuntary. Responsibility, as we all know, is duty or obligation to satisfactorily perform or complete a task assigned by someone or created by one's own promise, Bhishma Pitama, his own promise, that I will not stake a claim to the throne of Hastinapur. Own promise. I will not marry. So there will be no question of my son staking a claim. And when he died, he was on arrows for about 6 months. Then Lord Krishna said, Pitama, it is your own creation. Had you not taken this vow, this Mahabharata would not have taken place. And thousands of lives would not have been lost. So this, when you take a vow on your own, that also comes under this heading, responsibility, a duty or obligation to satisfactorily perform or complete a task assigned by someone or created by one's own promise or circumstances that one must fulfill and which has a consequent penalty on failure. There is no penalty in this act. No penalty.
There is penalty.
Huh?
There is.
There is what it is.
50,000 to 25 lakh.
What? If
they don't comply.
I will show you the figure,
Yeah.
where they are shot, I doubt very much that whether they have paid the penalty. Otherwise it would have been on the website.
Provision is there.
Provision is there, but why it is not being implemented?
It is
Why
there.
It is not.
You will say every person, salary lo, pass na ko.
Though it is not mandatory, but non-compliance, if there is
There is a provision.
If the company has not complied with the provision, the penalty is there ranging from 50,000 to 25 lakh.
Schedule 7 days specify the
Yeah.
items also.
In broad terms, CSR relates to responsibilities corporations have towards society, within which they are based and operate, not denying the fact that the purview of CSR goes much beyond this. The Indian scenario of CSR. What are Vedas saying? The Vedas assert that there shall be proper distribution of wealth from the wealthy to the poor. They condemn those who enjoy wealth without partaking it with others. wealth accumulated through 100 hands should be distributed to 1,000 hands. This is what is from Atharvaved Samhita. Did the rich satisfy the poor with a broader vision? Rig Veda Samhita, that is 175. Trusteeship of Gandhi, this is also very well. Supposing I have come by fair amount of wealth, either by way of legacy or by means of trade and industry, I must know that all that wealth does not belong to me. What belongs to me is the right to an honorable livelihood, no better than that enjoyed by millions of others. The rest of my wealth belongs to the community and must be used for the welfare of the community. Corporate social responsibility in India has been generally considered to relate to the domain of charity and donation. As you rightly said, Dr. Hopkins. Both promoted by religious and altruistic, that is philanthropic considerations. The concept of social responsibility and philanthropy has been a part of charitable initiatives of the Indian business houses and also by the zamindars in the days of permanent settlement as a tribute to God. A later phase was triggered by Gandhian movement and the initiatives of industrialists of that time, such as Birlas, Tatas, Modis, and Dalmias, who were inspired in undertaking similar initiatives as a part of the Gandhian philosophy, starting with dharmshalas and places of worship. These initiatives were undertaken under the Indian Trust Act, based on the principles of trusteeship and the fiduciary, that means trust between trustee and beneficiary, requirement to provide a return for the gains of business. Companies Act 2013, Section 135, dealing with CSR. A net worth of rupees 500 crores, that is, in case of multinationals, $100 million or more. Or, this was one criterion. Second criterion, or a turnover of rupees 1,000 crore, in terms of multinationals, $200 million or more. And third, or a net profit of rupees 5 crores, $1 million or more. During the past 3 financial years, must spend at least 2% of their average net profits from the 3 preceding years on CSR or corporate social responsibility initiatives. Now there is a very hidden, loophole, that 2% of their average net profits from the 3 preceding years on CSR. Say in 1 year you incur loss. Now the formula has not been given. Sharmaji, has the formula been given?
It is an average of the 3 years.
Average of the 3
Average
years.
of 3 years.
Average of the 3 years, including the loss you minus and then
Everything.
CSR activities to include Schedule 7 of the Companies Act, eradicating extreme hunger and poverty. You know that for eradication of poverty and hunger both, it is not the doles which are going to help. It is education which is going to help. It is enterprise which is going to help. It is making them stand on their own legs by arousing their self-esteem. That is going to help. Convincing them that they should have a limited family size. In India, what is the paradox? Those who can give to India and to the world brain power, doctors, engineers, chartered accountants, professors, jurists, journalists, they are having 1 to 2 children, not more than that. But those who are not assured of their square meal, they have half a dozen to dozen children. So the first requirement of this should be to convince, to educate that look, limited family size is going to help you. And education, adult literacy, they are going to help in this very, very tremendously. Then eradicating extreme hunger and poverty, promotion of education, promoting gender equality and empowering women, reducing child mortality and improving maternal health. There are figures, which are startling about maternal health and child mortality and so on. Combating human immunodeficiency virus, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, malaria and other diseases, ensuring environmental sustainability, to which Dr. Hopkins drew the attention very eminently. Then employment enhancing vocational skills, social business projects, contribution to the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund or any other funds set up by the central government or the state governments for socio-economic development and relief, and funds for the welfare of the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes and other backward classes, minorities and women, and such other matters as may be prescribed. The Companies Act 2013 provides that the company shall give preference to the local area and areas around it where it operates. It means company. Board level CSR committees, that ये आगे के सेशन में आएगा. Then responsibilities of the company's board. Mainly the board will comprise of 3 members, approve and disclose CSR policy in the annual director's report and on company website, ensure implementation of CSR activities as per the policy. Director reports to specify reasons in case the specified amount is not spent. Reasons यहाँ क्यों नहीं लिखा है? If it is not spent, give reasons. That's all.
Company has to give reasons and explain. And if the company is not able to explain or give proper reason,
then who is going to judge
the regulator,
that their explanation is proper?
The
People sitting in the this company law board.
No, the regulators.
Regulator. Who is the regulator?
Regulator is the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and the other bodies.
जहाँ political system issues within the act. Independent directors, I am not going to dwell upon it. URI guiding principles on business and human rights. These guiding principles are grounded in the recognition of the state's existing obligations to respect, protect and fulfill human rights and fundamental freedoms. The role of business enterprises as specialized organs of society performing specialized functions required to comply with all applicable laws and to respect human rights. The need for rights and obligations to be matched to appropriate and effective remedies when breached. Now this is what is the CSR index, as Dr. Sharma, Professor Sharma was telling. Except Tata Steel, top 10 CSR performance. In left hand side, the top 10 companies are named. Second column is profit after tax, 2011-12. Third column is CSR spent, 2011-12. Then 2% of profit after tax, 2011 and 12. And variance. Variance is over what has been spent and what they have there. Profit after tax 2%. Except 382. Why Tata Steel? Rest is all minus. इनके ऊपर फाइल हुआ कहीं पड़ा?
They must have given some reasons.
हाँ रीजन सब सेटिस्फाई हो गया. 2014 इलेक्शन में पैसा इसी में से जाएगा. हो गया.
फाइन इसलिए नहीं हुआ क्योंकि अब तक कोई कोड नहीं था, ना कोई लॉ था, इसलिए फाइन नहीं हुआ.
इसलिए नहीं हुआ. 2013 के बाद. Voluntary or mandatory? This is a debate to be discussed. Should it be kept voluntary as it is, or it should be made mandatory? If there is a problem for fine, I doubt very much it is voluntary. If there is, as you are saying, there is.
Fine.
Then the stark truth is that human rights abuses such as subpar working conditions, this is important, sexual harassment, bonded labor and child labor, as well as violations linked to land acquisition, water pollution, abusive security forces, unsafe clinical trials require the state to do more than mandate corporate philanthropy. CSR, as defined in the Companies Act, treats the poor as recipients of charity and not as citizens with rights. India Incorporated is set to get certain, concessions which are listed, because that, lobby is there which is working for it. MCA is also expected to include the man hours spent on voluntary social activity such as teaching and free consultations for social projects as genuine CSR activity. If Professor Sharma is drafted to help a company, then whatever his man hours he spends will also factor in as an expenditure on CSR. This is a matter to be debated. Thank you very much for this.